Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world. Talk about the team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. All righty. So, big news is the offseason, as far as the work goes, pretty much over for the players. It's kind of, I don't want to say just getting started for the coaching staff, but kind of is. If you listen to what Pete Carroll says about what the OTAs and what the minicamp was for, is just to get to know the players and get to know what the players can do well. I think with that information, the coaching staff is going to take these next few weeks, 5.5 weeks or so, to figure out a game plan moving forward as far as what to attack, how to use certain players and different play schemes and stuff like that. So a lot to get to. It's going to be a bit of a dry spell for the next few weeks. The training camp dates have been released. Excuse me. The rookies are set to report July 17th, and everyone will report on the 22nd. So, lot to get to right now, and I want to see who's here. Sign off. If you guys are here, sign off. True Raider, what's up, man? Oh, what's up, dude? So there's a few things that we need to get through today, and a couple of things that we need to kind of like take a look at with a little bit more objectivity. I know that it's kind of strange for us to be going through an offseason without a lot of turmoil, right? Just what happens when you have adults that know how to lead in leadership positions. And I'm not trying to say that all of our leaders in the past were bad, but there was always some form of dysfunction happening where there was a lot of squinting. And I say that a lot of times, especially in years past, where a lot of, me included, had a lot of high expectations for this team, even though kind of inside I knew, there's a little bit of roughness going to happen with this team because of personnel decisions, because of coaching decisions, stuff like that. And I did have to squint. I had to squint to, make myself excited about Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell, stuff, just little things like that. But you take a look at this season here, and it doesn't seem like we have to really squint that much. It looks like a lot of the right people are in charge, and the right people are making good decisions. We didn't have any crazy reaches in the draft, any head-scratching picks in the draft really at all. From all accounts, Darian Porter, Ashton Genty, Dante Thornton, Jack Besh have all looked really good and are running with a lot of the starting crew. You have, the two inside defensive linemen, Tonka and JJ Pegues that are, showing that they belong. And, you have the offensive linemen looking like they're looking, like they could do some things. And it's just one of those things. I get it. Think about like growing up in a Mexican household, it was a lot. Okay. And then you go to your buddy's house and it's like a lot more calm. And you're looking around, you're like, what's happening here? It doesn't feel right. It feels strange. It feels strange not to be having to make a lot of excuses for, well, this and that. And yeah, this guy's good and that guy's going to be good. Don't worry about it. Things like that. We've all been there. And I think right now we can just kind of sit back, take a deep breath and say, okay, I think we have the right people in the right positions. Let's go out there and win games. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we do, I want to make sure everyone, please, out there, like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's an excellent way to support the channel. It's absolutely free. And it's the bare minimum you can do to support the channel besides doing absolutely nothing, just watching the video. I do appreciate that. Guys, also, if you could, please share to your socials if you have any. It really helps me out a lot, and I would greatly appreciate it if you did that. Thank you very much. Okay, now that that's out of the way, first thing I want to talk about is the takeaways from the OTAs and minicamps. Not a lot you could take away from this. The guys can look like they can be, players. They can go out there and they can contribute. The only thing is they're not in pads. They're not being tackled to the ground by, defenders or they're not being blocked all the way by offensive linemen if they're on the defensive side or things like that. So there's a good first step happening right now. There's a good first step where the guys are shown, the young guys especially, are shown to have a lot of good traits, right? They're athletic enough, of course, but they're hard workers, they're team guys. You know, that these are all good things. It's really going to start on the 17th, and for sure, full blown, it's going to start on the 22nd, where you're going to see these guys going out there and really implementing everything into the game plan. Things that we need to keep an eye on. The areas of concern that I still have for this team are, of course, the offensive line, the linebacking core, and the secondary. Well, corner more specifically. The issues that we're going to see here is I want to see how well these groups mesh and blend together. I don't have an issue with Alex Kappa. I know a lot of Raider Nation was kind of scratching their heads over the pickup of Alex Kappa because of such a poor season he had last year. He was injured last season. The seasons before that, he was a borderline top 20 graded guard in the league. He was dealing with a concussion injury, and then I think he was an ankle injury or something like that. He had 2 injuries last season that really kind of muddled up his season a little bit. We know all about that, right? That should solidify a position on the offensive line if he comes back to form. As far as the linebacking core goes, I am much more confident in this linebacking core now that we added Jermaine Pratt. I'm not saying that Jermaine Pratt is a world beater, but Jermaine Pratt is now our best linebacker on this team. With past production, recent history, all that stuff. You wanted to take a look at all that stuff. Jermaine Pratt is the leader in the clubhouse as it goes to linebacking core. So I like the fact that Jermaine Pratt, that Devin White, that Lindenberg, and even Jalen Smith, they all have experience playing the different linebacking positions, which is great. So it's going to be a little bit added some flexibility to the linebacking core. We'll see. I think the leaders in the clubhouse right now are Landon Roberts and Jermaine Pratt to start, with Devin White probably being the third linebacker if they do a 3 linebacker set, or the first one off the bench on a 2 linebacker sub package set. So that's an issue that I think that needs to be kind of keep an eye on when training camp starts. We'll see what happens with the corners. I think that we're probably going to add another corner. Shaquille Griffin is probably the name that's been floating out there the hardest. I don't know that this regime, John Spytek, is going to want to trade a ton to get an aging, expensive star in like a Jalen Ramsey, who's been kind of up and down the last few seasons. I think that the fact that Shaquille Griffin is still a productive player in the league, and also Pete Carroll knows him. He drafted him. I think it was out of UCF when he was with Seattle, and he trusts him. So I think those two things are going to be, playing a big factor into who we potentially can add to the cornerback room. Pete Carroll definitely has a type, right? He definitely has a type. So look for something like that to happen in the secondary. I don't foresee a lot of change happening in the offensive line group. Like I said, we added someone in linebacker core. Those are the 3 spots that had the most concern for me. Let's see what we got going on here in the comment section. So here's the deal. True Raider. I've heard a lot of different things about Jack Besh. I've heard that he signed his contract. I heard that he signed just a little kind of a contract that's just against injury. I don't know exactly what's going on, because every time I look and I search for something, it says that Jack Besh has been signed. I tried to ask. A lot of the things I do now is like I ask Grok, has Jack Besh been Has Jack Bech been signed by the Raiders? Let's see here. Has signed a 4-year contract with a team worth $7.56 million, including $2.14 million in signing bonuses. So, True Raider, there you go. He's signed. I don't know what else to say. It's Jack Bech signed a 4-year contract worth 7.56, including a 2.14 signing bonus. That's the last thing I've heard. I just checked it right now. So we'll see, but that's what I'm being told. I'm going to get to Christian Wilkins in a second. But first, I want to get to Henry Ruggs. We'll talk a little bit about Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs was not released from prison. I heard people were saying, how can he be released? Whatever. He wasn't released, guys. What he was is he left prison under supervision and went to to speak at a function. He gave a speech at the function, and then he went right back to prison. Do not collect, do not pass go, do not collect $200. So when that happens, normally the person is taken, the inmate is taken in either handcuffs or shackles, like the ankle and wrist shackles, and they're driven to a venue, and then they're released from the shackles, and they're able to, under heavy supervision, give their, do their business, whatever their business is, and then go right back into custody and go right back to jail. So that's what happened with Henry Ruggs. The interesting part is he did publicly, apologize to the family and show remorse over, what he did. Also, there's been a word floating around that Josh Jacobs has been kind of talking to different NFL teams regarding Henry Ruggs and his possibility after being possibly paroled. He's eligible for parole next August, so August of 2026. It's going to be an uphill battle because not only is there a stigma now and kind of a cloud over the head of Henry Ruggs, it wasn't like he was lighting the world on fire before he went into prison. He showed some promise. He had some plays here and there, but he wasn't a consistent, top end guy. And normally when you see players that come back from things like this, maybe not this bad, but you see guys like let's say Michael Vick, for example. He was a starting quarterback in the league, and he was a top guy in the league. That's a little bit different. And if anyone wants to tell you that everyone's treated the same, no, everyone's not treated the same. When you have guys out there talking about everyone should be treated the same, it's not the case. Star players are treated differently, and it just is the way it is. What we're looking at here is realistically, let's say, for example, let's just say Henry Ruggs is paroled his first time out in August of 2026. He's not going to play that season. He's going to be fresh out of prison. It's not going to happen. So he's going to probably take that next year to get in shape, maybe sign a futures contract with the team or something. And his best bet, his most realistic bet is to be back for the 2027 season when he would be 28 years old. The issue that we're looking at here is we're trying to put a value on a player that we haven't seen in quite some time and who really wasn't like a number one top end receiver the last time he played. So it's very difficult to really talk about how things are going to pan out for Henry Ruggs. I do think one thing, though. I do think that if there is a regime or a coach that has enough kind of weight to be able to talk a ownership group and a fan base into giving Henry Ruggs another shot, I think it is Pete Carroll. I think the kind of guy that he is, and he's shown at his time at SC, talking to people in the community, that he never advertised it or anything like that. He was just going out there and talking to people and on the projects and stuff and offering help to them and things like that. He's a guy that really is more of a genuine type of person when you talk about people that are looking to kind of give second chances and help people along. So I think if I don't think it's very probable the Raiders will sign him back. I think it's actually pretty improbable. But if it were to happen, it would be somebody like Pete Carroll who would be able to get it done. Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, because a lot of people have been talking about this, and let's take a peek. Christian Wilkins. So there was a podcast, a Just Win podcast. Ted Wynn was on there. Tashawn Reed's on there as well, but Ted Wynn was on there with a doctor, Deepak Chopra, or what the hell's his name? I had it on here. I had it here so I wouldn't mispronounce his name. Deepak Chona is the man's name. He's a pretty famous, surgeon, orthopedic surgeon to a lot of athletes. And he really broke down what the issues were with the type of, Jones fracture injury that Christian Wilkins sustained, and the timetable coming back and some possible issues. It's actually some pretty good news. Let's see what we got going on in the updates here. Yeah, man. It's tough, man. You have to, it was more than just one. Let's just be impartial about this. Let's just talk about this. The Henry Ruggs situation was not a one-time thing. He was warned quite a few times his rookie season for driving the way he was driving, sometimes driving around the facility in the parking lot the way he was driving. And he was warned a lot of times about that. So it wasn't like it's the first time he was dangerous behind the wheel. It's just the first time that something went wrong while he was being dangerous behind the wheel. So this is not a one-time thing where he just decided to drive 156 miles an hour on a residential street and something terrible happened. This is something that he'd been doing for quite some time, unchecked. And yeah, that's a shame. If he plays his, if the cards are dealt the way they are and he gets paroled, we'll see. As far as Christian Wilkins goes, so let's take a look at the injury. So the injury, the Jones fracture, basically is the bone leading to one of the toes. That's a Jones fracture. There's one main issue. The biggest issue with a Jones fracture injury is blood flow. If you don't get sufficient blood flow to the bone when it's healing, it either will not heal all the way or will not heal properly. And that's what happened with Christian Wilkins. The way that they fix a Jones fracture is they just stick a screw through the bone and just screw it together so it'll heal, right? Well, if you have poor circulation, things are going to take longer. Things are going to take longer to heal. Unfortunately, Christian Wilkins was off the boot, and then in February he had to get the boot. He got to get back on the boot. The issue that we're looking at here is timetables. Now, what Dr. Chona was saying is the worst case scenario on an injury like this to Christian Wilkins is you have to do the surgery over again. That's the worst case scenario. But he did say that if that was the case, it would have happened already. So that's really good news. What he feels, in his professional opinion, is that the bone's going to heal. It's just taking longer than expected to heal. So the team is just going to let it heal. When it does, and he's 100%, he'll be back and he'll be fine. He did state that this injury, it has a very, very low re-injury rate. He used the example of who was it? Damn it, who is that guy? I'm losing all my freaking marbles here. Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had the same injury a few years ago, and he's played 3+ years since, and you haven't heard a dang thing about it. He's still the man running up and down the field, trucking people, running around people. He had the same injury at running back. So I do see a really good outcome for Christian Wilkins. The fact that he hasn't gone under the knife again after this injury, I think it's going to be a good thing for him. I think that he has 6 weeks until he has to report. Even if he misses some of training camp, I would make sure he's 100% and then wait a week. Just to make sure he's 100%, then get Wilkins back on the field. Because if he's 100%, 100% cleared and 100%, you wait a little bit extra just to make sure, chances are very, very, very great that he will not re-injure that same foot. So that's definitely what we want. We want to win on defense with our defensive line, and I think Christian Wilkins is a big part of that. So that's really good news coming out of out of the Christian Wilkins camp, just because from what I've read and from what I've heard of the interview, Deepak Chana is definitely a guy that is looked up to in the orthopedic surgeon community, and for him to give that kind of outlook on an injured Raider is great news for us. All right, guys, what else we got going here? Guys, sound off if you're here, man. Sound off if you're here. No, I mean, if he could land on the PUP list, it all depends. It all depends on how long it's going to take that foot to heal. I wouldn't mind if he lands on the PUP list and he's gone the first 4 games. When he comes back, I'm cool with that too. Make sure he's healed. Make sure he's ready. Alfredo, what's up, baby? Make sure that he's ready before he comes back. I think it's ridiculous to push a guy back sooner just because you want to see him on the field. I think it's kind of like stepping over dollars to pick up pennies at that point. You want a guy on the field so bad that you're going to trot him out there, because if it's not healed, the re-injury rate is actually very high. So it's one of those things where let it heal, let it go all the way healed, and when you go from there, you're good to go. All right. We're cruising right along here. As far as rookies who impress, it's a very difficult conversation to have. And we've heard it from Chip Kelly. We heard it from Patrick Graham. We heard it from Pete Carroll. We heard it from Geno Smith. We heard it from Maxx Crosby. These guys, they can look great in OTAs and minicamp. You have to wait until the pads come on. That's when you really see what's happening. But you can definitely see that there's some players that are kind of popping out and showing out in front of the coaches. And honestly, that's the first thing you have to really take a look at is how do you look in the eyes of the coaches? Because if the coaches like what you're doing in practice, that's what's going to give you the opportunities during the games. There's a few rookies that have been really shining, and those rookies are Ashton Genty, shown to be a guy that knows where to be, and he's very explosive and catching the ball really well out of the backfield. Jack Besh has been doing really well. Darian Porter has been running with the ones at cornerback, which is, for a guy that's they only started 9 games on defense after playing his first few seasons in college at wide receiver. That's pretty amazing if he's running with the ones. Also, Dante Thornton is a guy at receiver that is running with the ones as well. And, you saw the guy's physical tools, his height, weight, speed. And we've seen this before with some other players out there, maybe not quite as big and not quite as fast, but we've seen guys that are, comparable as far as size and speed, just kind of not do it once the pads come on. But it's definitely a good thing, a very positive note to see that the coaches really see a lot in Dante Thornton, and he could end up being one of the steals from the draft. Excuse me. All right. So we got talking here today. Upstate New York, you got tickets. Oh, nice. Nice, dude. Raider Ant 112. Hero, I want to put you on timeout. All right, let's get some Raider fans up in here. This Charger fan is nothing personal, but I need to see some Raider fans freaking blow up here. So, what do you guys think of the start time? I'm trying to get a start time that's going to be good for everyone to be able to, not everyone, but most people to hop on and participate. If you guys have anything you need to get off your chest or topics you want to talk about, super chats are open, ladies and gentlemen. Because right now, I mean, we're headed into the kind of the dull period right now in the NFL. This is a very scary period, for the coaches. If you guys saw my Pete Carroll video, you know that this is really one of the scary parts of the season, or the off season, excuse me. It's really the last part of the off season. It's the part that it's probably one of the scariest, because you don't really see the guys, or all the guys, all that much. There's times, every year you see it. Guys are getting arrested, and you guys are, running afoul of the law, or committing crimes, or some stuff's happening to them, or who knows what. Getting into fights, and it's a tough time in the NFL right now, man. And it's nail biting time. Raider Rick, what's up, baby? It's a nail biting time right now for execs, for owners, and for coaches in the NFL, for sure, because this next period until the 17th for rookies and the 22nd for veterans is where these guys are kind of left to the wild, left to their own devices. Oh yeah, let's take a look at this. True Raider. Yeah, Jason Pierre-Paul, he damn near blew off his entire hand. Just ended up saving some of it, but lost a couple of fingers during 4th of July. It's crazy, man. I don't get it. Maybe it's because I'm not that top of the food chain type athlete who's, just been dominating physically his entire life. Maybe my psyche is a little bit different. But the things some of these guys get caught up with, like, I mean, Damon Arnett's in the news. Damon Arnett got signed by the Houston Texans. Damon Arnett has to be one of the dumbest dudes I've ever heard of in my entire life. Damon Arnett was pulled over in Miami, okay, and didn't have a license. The police officer told him, hey, man, you don't have a license. Your buddy needs to drive, and you need to go straight home right now. And instead of that, he just kind of drove around a little bit. So the same cop, like an hour later, pulled Damon Arnett over again because he saw him driving his car again, knowing that he didn't have a valid license. Pulled him out of the car, found coke. I think he found a gun. It's like, how dumb can you be? And even guys like, Damon Arnett, waving guns around on Snapchat, can get a second chance. So we'll see what happens. Javon Walker as well. There's been a lot of really bad things. I mean, look at Shedeur, like Alfredo just said right now. Shedeur Sanders, he got 2 speeding tickets, and it's not like going 5 miles over. Okay, he was going significantly over the speed limit 2 times in the same week, which tells me he doesn't really care. And it tells me that the Cleveland Browns really are not reaching Shedeur Sanders. Because after the first offense, I would have sat Shedeur Sanders down and been like, look, you were a late round pick. There was a heavy competition at quarterback. You need to keep your nose clean. And apparently, Shedeur doesn't really care, which, I mean, neither do I. That's Cleveland's problem. Cleveland wanted that problem. That's his problem. But look, what else we got, guys? I'm going to leave the rest of the show up to you. See what you guys want to talk about. Remember, super chats are open. You want to guarantee that your topic gets selected to talk about? Put it in a super chat, guys, and I'll go ahead and give you my take on it. We'll have a discussion. It's not a lot of stuff happening right now, and I'm going to try my best to give you guys content that you guys like, but it's really kind of a rough period right now to talk about a lot of things because nothing's really happening right now. All right, guys. Well, you know what? That was a half hour, and it seems like everything's been slowing down a little bit on the chats. So we'll go ahead and end this now. Guys, everyone, I appreciate you guys watching. I'm going to come on at about 5 o'clock on Thursdays, and we'll see how it works out with other days. And what else we got going here? No, that's pretty much it, guys. All right. Everyone, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's the next way to support the channel. It's absolutely free. And it's the bare minimum you do support the channel besides doing nothing and just watching the video. Please go ahead and share to your socials as well, guys. Appreciate it. We're over 2,500 right now. And, you know, all the 2,500 subs, I really appreciate you guys. And it's because of you guys that I'm able to do what I'm doing here. This stuff ain't cheap. So whatever you guys do, helping me out watching the videos and going through the ads and all that stuff, it really does help because I put it back into what I do for you guys, you know, equipment, editing, you know, bandwidth, programming, all that stuff. It all costs money. And because of you guys, I was able to monetize in only 6 weeks. So it was an excellent deal for me. And I really thank you guys for sticking with me, guys. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and drop me a line on the comment section, and we'll discuss it then. All right, guys, that's my time. Till next time, everybody. Peace.